welcome to episode 2 of the Hungriest Knitter podcast. Thank you so much for joining me and taking a little time out of your day and spending it with me. I'm coming to you from Washington, D.C., and it's the second week of February 2014. So I'd like to welcome all of my new and returning viewers. Thank you so much to everyone who has sent such wonderful notes to me about episode 1. I am completely awed by all of you. Just a few housekeeping notes. We now have a Ravelry group, so you can find us on Ravelry as us, the Royal We. You can find me on Ravelry with the Ravelry group, which is the Hungriest Knitter videocast. And we're also up on iTunes now, so you can find it there. You can find the podcast there. And thank you so much to Mutt77 for my first starred iTunes review. I appreciate that so much, and that helps bump the podcast up when people search for knitting. So certainly we have a ways to go, but I so appreciate it. It really means a lot to me that you would take a little time to do that. So thanks to everyone who has sent me such wonderful and encouraging feedback. I'm really grateful for all of you, and it definitely encourages me to keep working at this, and I hope that you're bearing with me through my wonky video editing and my weird looking graphics on the Ravelry group right now. It is a work in progress, and I promise you I'm going to get better. It just takes a little time, and I think I rushed trying to get the episodes out, or the first episode out. So thank you for bearing with me. And if you have any suggestions, if you're having technical problems with the website or the blog or whatever, please let me know. And I'll do my best to try and troubleshoot whatever I can. But again, just thank you for all the wonderful, kind, and encouraging things you've sent to me. I so appreciate it, and I so appreciate you for sitting down with me and hanging out for a little bit. So today, this is the calm before the storm. Apparently we have a winter storm headed to the east coast of the United States. The winter that will never end. But that's okay. I have my tea. I have my knitting. What else do I need? So let's start with what we talked about last week, or 2 weeks ago, episode 1, which was, what is your favorite cozy knitted garment to wear? And I got a lot of cool, interesting answers. Seems like socks are a big hit with the Hungry Knitters. But I wanted to share my absolute favorite knitted garment. It's something I wear in the fall and the winter practically every day. This is my Setzer cowl, designed by the incredible Jared Flood, the illustrious Brooklyn Tweed. And I am obsessed with this. I knit it about 1.5 years ago. Not even. A little over a year ago. Yeah, I guess a year and change. And I wear this all the time. And I'm obsessed with this sort of like the short rows. So as you can see, the welching kind of has this cool pattern. So I love it for a couple of reasons. I love the construction. I love knitting this pattern so much. It was a lot of fun because this is the first pattern where I've really used short rows to a visual effect and not just for fit. And it was really fun to knit. And it's kind of like a special secret because when I wear it, it just looks like a regular welted cowl, but I know that it's there, and that's really all that matters. It's also like the coziest thing on the planet, and when it's really cold outside, I like pull it up like a hood almost. I look like a crazy person. When it's like raining, I kind of pop it up like this, and then I pull my coat up. I look like a babushka. And I wear this like in the office every day. My office is frigid. So I wear this baby all the time. And the thing that makes it extra super special to me is that I got this yarn as a gift from my boyfriend. Um, and he got this for me while he was traveling abroad. He was in Ireland for a half Ironman. And so he did his shopping for my birthday there. And he went to one yarn store, and I can't remember where. I know he's told me this, but I've completely forgotten it. I didn't want to have to bother him with the tell me the story. He probably doesn't even remember now. He went into one yarn shop, and he asked for help, and for whatever reason, no one seemed very interested in helping him out. So he bought me 4 balls of yarn there, and he thought they were really pretty and that they looked Irish to him, and kind of quintessential Irish, which he thought meant tweed. But he bought me 4 balls of Debbie Bliss, I think in a DK weight, DK fingering, something like that, weight yarn. 2 in a light blue and 2 in a light gray. But he felt off about it, and so he went to another shop, and he showed them what he bought, what he had previously purchased. And the lady at the yarn shop was very kind and said to him that Debbie Bliss is easily found in the States, and it's true. They sell, there's Debbie Bliss at my local yarn shops. And that if he wanted to get something that was hard to come by, that he should get this yarn, which is Studio Donegal yarn in their soft Donegal base, which is 100% wool with Tweety Flex, and this is a worsted weight, and I got it in the charcoal. He got it for me in the charcoal color, and it is like the squishiest, springiest, the yarn has like a velvety quality to it, if that makes sense. It's so soft and so warm, and knitting it was like knitting with butter. It was just like the most delightful, pleasurable experience I've had knitting a cowl. And so he nailed it with that gift, and he also got me a beautiful, beautiful merino scarf. So I was well spoiled with fibery goodness on my birthday 2 years ago, or 2 birthdays ago. Let's put it that way. So yeah, this is my favorite. It's a close to my heart knit, but I love it so much. And he done good with this yarn. I'm telling you. So I wear this practically every day. So this is my favorite. And if you have something that you didn't share, please write a comment on the blog, on the show notes, or let's chatter about it in the episode 2 thread on the Ravelry board. That would be fun. I would love to see pictures and hear about your favorite, what you practically wear every day knits, because this is definitely mine. So up next, let's talk about what's on my needles. And actually, let's start with what's off my needles. Guys, I finished my socks. I'm so happy. So these are the basic vanilla socks I showed last week in the Neighborhood Fiber Company Studio Sock Base. And this is the Bloomingdale colorway. And I am obsessed with these. The color is just not reading as well as it should. I don't think this camera is doing the color justice. But it's such a rich, plummy, kind of winey color with little flecks of orange and mauve. And it's just the most gorgeous yarn. And these look stretched out already because I've worn them like 3 times around the house, so they already need a wash. But I am definitely a knitted sock convert. I knit the leg about 6.5 inches long before I started the heel flap. And this is, I'm finding that this is a great length for me to wear under my jeans. So I really like it. And this is fun. I was visiting with my mom a few weeks ago, and she told me something that her mom used to do. My mom had 10 brothers and sisters. She is the youngest of 11, and my grandmother did everything. She sewed, she did counted cross stitch, she did crewel work, she did knitting, she did crochet, she crocheted lace doilies. The woman could do it all. And while she didn't knit a lot of socks for her children, because could you imagine having to knit for a family of 13, including her and her husband? But this little trick that my mom told me, if you ever want to quickly get someone's shoe measurement, and you don't want to ask them their shoe size, which I don't know why, but she would do this when she was either making or shopping for socks. She would say, "Give me your fist." And if the sock from heel to toe fit, she knew the sock would fit the foot. How crazy is that? I don't know if this is a real thing or like a weird old wives' tale kind of situation, but if you go from toe to heel, it shouldn't be the tightest fit, but it should fit. And you know your sock is gonna fit. Isn't that crazy? I love that so much. I like lost my mind when she told me this. Delightful. My grandmother was an incredible lady. So yeah, this is my FO for the week. I'm so happy. I love them so much. I was never a sock knitter. I'm a sock knitter now. I can't believe it. I have 2 more skeins of the Neighborhood Fiber Company Studio Sock in my stash. And this, just so you know, this base is 100% superwash merino. And I have it in the Rock Creek Park colorway, which is kind of tonally variegated emerald green. And I have it in the Cleveland Park colorway, which is a deep midnight blue with some lighter blue and I think purple in it. And they're both gorgeous, really saturated jewel tones, which really appealed to me. It's very unlike what I typically knit. So they are beautiful, and I'm really excited to knit with them. And there are 2 neighborhoods in DC that are both very well, Rock Creek Park is just behind me. My house is like a 10-minute walk from Rock Creek Park. And then Cleveland Park is just a hop, skip, and a jump. I hop on the bus outside my door, and in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes with traffic, I'm in Cleveland Park. So I love that I was really into these 2 colorways that happen to be neighborhoods right near where I live too, which is fun. So that's what's off my needles, and let me show you what's on my needles. So first up, I want to show off this this little wedge bag is from Lizard's Bazaar on Etsy, and I'll include a link in the show notes. It's so cute. It has a little black sheep on the bottom. I love anything sheepy. And in this are the socks that are on my needles right now, which are the Patton's Croy blue stripe rag socks. And these are just a basic vanilla sock. I knit an 8-inch leg, and I finished the heel and the gusset, and now I'm just working on the foot. So these are going really, really easily, kind of just autopilot knitting right now. I love this yarn, I love the way it feels, and it's really addictive to knit up these stripes because they're just like very potato chippy, as the Knit More girls would say, because it's like, just one more stripe, I just want to knit one more stripe. So yeah, these are a lot of fun to work on. I'm a little toasty. Okay. These are a lot of fun to work with right now. So, and everyone and their uncle is working on this yarn right now or has knit a pair of socks with this lately. I feel like every podcast I watch, someone has knit with this or is going to knit with it. I have heard about this on Knit Knit Cafe. I have heard about this yarn, I think, from the Knit More girls. It was on Homespun House, which is the reason why I bought it. Darren from Knitting in Circles podcast knit at least one pair of socks out of this. Everyone is knitting with this yarn. All my friends on Instagram keep showing pictures of it. Like, it's just everywhere. I don't know what it is. But it is such a great workhorsey sock yarn, and it's such an incredible price that you can't beat it. You always can get it, like, get a coupon, take it to your big box store, and get a couple balls of this. Just remember that you need 2 balls for an adult pair of socks because the Patton's Croy comes in 50-gram balls. So I got 4. I bought them out. So I think I'm going to knit a pair for me and then probably a pair for my mom. Either my mom or my boyfriend, but probably my mom. My mom loves my knitting, so I feel like she's the one who would appreciate it more. Although I feel like I could turn my boyfriend over to the dark side if he got a good pair of hand knit socks. He has a hat of mine that he loves. I asked him if he wanted socks, and he was just like, "Nah." But I think I could turn him. And I'm really happy with the way the stripes have turned out on the heel. So the entire bottom of the heel is that red little nub. I love it. I feel like it's so perfect. It just lined up perfectly. So it's cracking me up. I love it. This yarn is just so cheerful, but muted at the same time. I love it. So I'm really enjoying this, and I'm sure I'll have the first sock off the needles in the coming days, and then we'll see. Hopefully I have another pair of socks by the time we chat again. So also on my needles is the Pomme de Pin cardigan by Amy Christoffers. My whip of shame is now an actual whip, and I've put barely a dent in this. Maybe, I think 10 rows, so like half an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch of work. So yeah, I have this body needs to be 17 inches long before I start doing anything interesting. But it took me a little bit of time to kind of get back on track because I hadn't looked at it in almost a year, like 6 months at least. So, it took a little bit of time for me to get back up to speed, but I found that the lace repeat is very easily memorized, and it's really easy to read your knitting after you've worked a few rows in it. So I feel like I'm getting back up to speed. The bamboo needles do admittedly slow me down a little bit on this one, but I prefer them. They're warm and soft on my hands, and in the winter I really like to knit on wood needles. And I have these new beautiful stitch markers I have to show you. I don't know if these are going to read well. It's a terrible shot. These stitch markers are from Little Nitty Bird on Etsy, and these are called the Jade Flower stitch markers. So they're little jade floral beads, and then I think a little glass bead on top and a gold bead, and they're just beautiful, like elegant, if that's a way that we would describe stitch markers. These are the elegant these are like the going out stitch markers, you know what I mean? These are when you put something fancy on your nice project to make you feel good, like a nice pair of shoes, you know? But I feel like if you have great tools and it's inspiration to get you knitting. It makes you feel good about the work that you're doing, right? You have beautiful things to look at, beautiful knitting to look at, beautiful yarn to look at. It's just a whole sensory experience. So I'm really loving working on this project. This is completely in my wheelhouse of knitwear, which is rustic woolly yarns knit in classic sort of heirloom style patterns. I feel like this is a sweater I'll keep forever. And I was trying to find the swatch. This yarn looks beautiful once it's been blocked. I love it because it's so sheepy and lanolin-y, but when it's blocked, it looks stunning. So, because I wet blocked my swatch, and it is just incredible. So I can't imagine how lovely and soft and perfect this is going to be when it is all done in forever, because I am a slow knitter. But I'm really enjoying the process, and that's half the battle for me. I usually care a lot less about the final garment than I do about enjoying the experience. Of course I want this to be beautiful, but I am definitely a process knitter. So I am really enjoying this, and I feel like I'm getting back in the swing. So that's exciting, and maybe I'll make a dent in this enormous, big as my head cone from Bartlett Yarns. I love this yarn. I love this yarn so much. So that's really everything that's like actively being knit right now. Well, I have an FO, so I like to focus on a couple things and then just alternate instead of a bit here, a bit here, a bit here. That way I feel like I'm making a little bit of progress. But I do have a couple ideas of knitted garments that are sort of brewing in my head right now, marinating, if you will, that I thought I would tell you about. So one thing I do, it's shawls. Suddenly I want to knit shawls. Like, I don't like knitting shawls, so I don't know what this is. I'm a hat person. I knit hats because they feel like instant gratification. Like, boom, you have a hat. It takes no time. The rows usually get shorter with a hat. With a shawl, they usually get longer. This is not my MO, but I have just been like really wanting something big and cozy to wrap around myself, which is why I'm working on the Guernsey wrap. But also, I just have shawls on the brain, triangular ones. So I am definitely going. I just purchased some Madeline Tosh that I'm waiting for. I'm waiting to arrive in the mail. So I ordered the 80-10-10 Sport Weight to knit the Mitsutama shawl by Olga Baraya Kefalian. I probably butchered her name. Her designs are beautiful if you haven't heard of her. So this shawl is a large triangular lace pattern that just has, it's one lace pattern throughout, and it kind of has this look of polka dots with the negative space, and it's beautiful and really simple and fun. And it's the pattern calls for fingering weight, but I'm going to do it in sport and increase the needle size because I kind of want something really warm and cozy and big. So I'm thinking this will be it, and I'm going to keep the colorway that I chose a secret until it arrives because I think it'll be way more fun just to show you guys. But I have been stalking Madeline Tosh's website for a month waiting for this colorway to come back in. That's another reason why I'm doing sport weight, is because the colorway came back in sport, but it's not back in fingering weight yet, or sock. So, yeah, desperate times, you guys. Desperate times. But I think the sport's going to be great. So, that is marinating in my brain right now. I need to get the pattern too. The other thing that's marinating in my brain is the Bolt Shawl by Vera Valimaki, and this appeared in Wool People Volume 5. And who doesn't love Vera Valimaki's designs? Her garments are so sort of classic silhouettes and really timeless. I feel like timeless, simple designs with ingenious construction. I think that's her in a nutshell, right? And I mean, everyone's knit a color affection, everyone's knit a stripe study. I mean, her shawls are just to be reckoned with, and she does really great things with stripes and shape and short rows and stuff like that. And I think Bolt is a really great example of that. It just has an interesting contrast and striping pattern that plays with the shape, the triangular shape of the full shawl. And so I bought a couple skeins of Ba Ramu Titus yarn, which is a fingering weight, 70% British wool and 30% UK alpaca yarn. I bought this in the fall. This was souvenir yarn. Went for a day trip with my gentleman down to Richmond, and so I bought these two skeins in the coal and white rose colorways, and I got these from the Yarn Lounge in downtown Richmond. I guess technically it's Carytown, down on Cary Street by all the boutiques and restaurants and stuff. And this yarn just called my name. It was just it's soft and sheepy and nice and woolly, and I knew that I would get two skeins and it would either become a cowl or a shawl, something that you can wear close to you. So I think this shawl is going to be perfect. These colors are just like such a great contrast. Again, I feel like my lighting is not doing it justice. But like a great contrast. And I think it's going to be beautiful. I've definitely been kind of scouting around trying to find the right pattern, and nothing was singing to me. Nothing really spoke. So I'm really excited that I found this one. And this is fairly new, I think, the pattern. So I need to buy the pattern. But until then, yeah, I'm really excited to get this one on my needles. So with that is everything that's on and off and potentially on my needles. So why don't we have a little bit of cooking now? I just hosted my Luke wine party over the weekend, and it was a lot of fun, you guys. I guess there were about 10 of us total. So I made a huge pot of mulled wine, spiked with vodka. Ooh, look out! That I drank in very tiny quantities. I made some apple cider and ginger ale punch, which was just apple cider, ginger ale, lemon juice, and muddled cranberries. I found frozen cranberries. Excuse me. So I really enjoyed doing that to kind of limit the menu. Instead of trying to offer a full bar or, having to get different beers and things like that to please everyone, just having a few interesting, delicious choices really kind of knocked it out of the park. And people loved the punch, so I will definitely be doing that again. I offered gin with it, so if you wanted, you could either, keep it non-alcoholic or add a little bit of gin to spike it if you wanted. So that was delicious, and just like a really simple spread. I did bake a loaf of my no-knead bread, but I think that's the easiest thing on the planet. I baked some cookies, put out a cheese board. I made some roasted chickpeas, which took all of 5 minutes prep. The most intense, I made some roasted sea salt dates, which is a recipe that I lifted from a friend. She didn't even give me the recipe, I just kind of winged it, which are delicious. Holy cow. Make sea salt roasted dates. All you have to do, here's what you do. Take your dates, pit them, if they aren't pitted already. Here's what you do. Get the pitted dates. It's easier. um, Saute them in a skillet with olive oil until they get browned, but not burnt, on each side. About 2 minutes on each side if you put the pan on medium heat. Take them out, sprinkle them heavily with sea salt. You're done. It's like a 5-minute appetizer. So good. The sea salt when they're warm, and then just the sea salt to cut the sweetness of the date, and then the olive oil kind of gives it a fruitiness, which is really nice. So delicious. Man alive. I will make those for everything ever, including just like appetizers for me for dinner, because they were delicious. And I made a mushroom walnut pate that was kind of a hit. Everyone really loved it, which is an adapted vegan recipe. I believe from the cookbook The Vegan Table, but I could be wrong on that, so do not quote me on that. But it was really fun and a nice reminder that we can all entertain, and it doesn't have to be a big production. I guess my tips are plan your menu in advance and really limit what you serve. Make sure allot yourself plenty of time for prep, and don't forget to eat before you, like during the day while you're prepping. I do that every time, and then I get a serious case of the hangries because no one likes the hangriest knitter. They want just the hungriest knitter. Luckily, my boyfriend came over and saved the day. He had takeout burritos, and I felt much better. It was an hour before the party. I shoveled a burrito in my face, and then I was ready to get everything on the table. So it was a lot of fun, and I'm hoping that we have some more little shindigs like that in the future. It's always nice. It makes your friends feel special to just have a couple of people come over and treat them to a nice time. And it's low key and usually cheaper than, and especially if you can get everyone to kind of pitch in, bring a little appetizer or bring some drinks or something. It can be a pretty affordable way to spend time with folks instead of going out all the time for drinks and dinner and all that stuff. It adds up, especially in a city. So that was a lot of fun. And there's one more little bit of cooking that I wanted to talk about, which has something to do with the question of the week or the question of the day from the last episode, where I was asking what your favorite warm and comforting winter food was. And basically it was unanimous: soup. And soup is probably like my favorite winter thing. But I was trying to think of something different. I was getting a little burnt out on soup. I've been eating soup practically for 2 weeks straight. So I made a quick weeknight version of a cassoulet. And man, oh man, it was good. Do this, people. I'm going to share the recipe on the blog this week. And I'm telling you, if you're not familiar with cassoulet, it's a French dish that's mainly a peasant dish that's based with beans and tomatoes and then whatever bits of meat you have. So they would use bits of rabbit or chicken or duck or sausage, and usually a couple of things, not just one. But it's also a very hearty, kind of heavy, comforting country dish. I tried to lighten it up a little bit. So I used some of the leftover fresh turkey sausage that I had from my Portuguese kale soup that I had stashed away in the freezer. And I literally only used things that were languishing in my fridge and that I already had in my pantry because I was too lazy to go to the market. So it turned out great. And truly, 10 minutes of prep, an hour in the oven, and my house smelled incredible. So I'll definitely share the recipe on the blog if y'all are interested in it. Yeah, just canned tomatoes, canned beans, some fresh herbs or dried herbs, whatever you have on hand, and aromatic vegetables make for a very delicious, hearty dinner. And I feel like it's something that's endlessly um, adaptable to what you have on hand or what you really like. If you want to add breadcrumbs on top, go for it. If you want to do chicken thighs instead of sausages, go for it. I feel like it's a dish that's very easy to make work for your taste, for your for what you have on hand. So I was really surprised with how well my meal turned out, and I'd love to share it with you guys. So with that, I think that's everything we have to chat about today. So thank you again for joining me. Oh, I have one question for everyone, which is I was thinking about adding a segment that we would call On the Town, which would be about things that are going on in DC, places I've been, because there's lots of really interesting historical and cultural sites here in DC, and always lots of events are going on. And it's a city with a lot of interesting history of its own that I think gets overlooked because of the political role of our city. And DC is a city of neighborhoods and of little villages, it sort of feels like. So I think it would be really fun to share. And also, DC is a city full of great food, and I eat a lot of it. And not just at like fine dining restaurants, but just great mom and pop, or local little neighborhood joints. That's sort of my favorite thing to check out. So if that's something that you think you might want to hear about, or if you have a question about the district that you'd like me to answer, I'll start a thread in the Ravelry group, and maybe that's something that we can talk about in the future. So until next time, you can find me on Ravelry, on Instagram, and on Twitter as Rachel Lindsay. You can find the show notes and everything you'd want to know and more at thehungriestknitter.com. You can email me at thehungriestknitter@gmail.com. And check out our Ravelry group, because we are getting ready to start some great chatter there, and I'd love to hear from you. So until next time, thank you so much for stopping by today, and stay hungry. Bye.